Thanks for the introduction. All right, how much of us are familiar with net neutrality? One thing I'm speaking to well-adverse people or persons who are not so into. Yeah, the flash drives to give away today. To call it a presentation, we don't want to call it a presentation, we want to have a discussion more than a presentation. So we want to hear from you what your thoughts are, more than we come here and just talk, and tell you what we think. So I see some hands as to people who know about net neutrality. So should we go around? Show the hands again. So we have 1, 2, 3. We'll come around. You have to give the mic.
Oh, for questions. Yeah, who want to say something? Somebody want to say something? Well, I wasn't paying attention, sorry.
What do you want me to say?
What do you know about neutrality?
Oh, well, I guess I understand it in many ways, but one of the ways I understand it is that all data that's put onto the network is, should we say, is common to everyone else. So there is no thank you for the word. I was looking for that everywhere. There's no discrimination, right? So you put it on one end, it just goes through, it comes up at the other end, and then the service provider at the other end handles it, just as the service provider at the beginning handles it, right? So the bit in the middle is neutral.
Right. That's all. Anybody else want to share? It's supposed to be an open and fair internet, right? So in this case, it's not as Trump would say America first. It's all of us, or all of our information. We share it, and it's not filtered. My perspective is probably, I think that some people want to, when they put information online, they want to have exclusivity of the information, so that they want to actually control what they put online. I think that's my perspective on it. So, but it should be, information should be available to everybody who wants it.
Well, anyone else? As I bring the mic, let me share my 2 cents. My understanding of neutrality encompasses most of what I would have heard. However, my particular addition would be that it has to do with the fact that the internet service providers are the ones who could determine who goes first, at what speed, and they can essentially either slow you down or bring you faster, depending on how much you're willing to pay. So in the end, it's all about money.
So I believe everyone has answered correctly or in part of what is net neutrality. Well, Oxford Dictionary says that the principle is that net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers should enable access to all content and application regardless of the source and without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. So yes, the principle of net neutrality is that everyone has an equal and fair chance in the internet. Everyone is equal, no one is above anyone. And what people are worried about with net neutrality is that one of these days we might get charged for WhatsApp calls,
or for every time we send a WhatsApp message, they charge 5 cents or 50 cents or something like that. So
before we jump forward, right? Net neutrality. This discussion started up why? Anybody could remember why it all started up? Everybody started talking about net neutrality. You ever heard the phrase, when America sneezes, everybody catch a cold? So in America, there was this big discussion about net neutrality, switching from Title 2 to Title 1 coverage with net neutrality. Yes? No? Anybody know about that?
Yes.
Right. So for Title 2 is basically saying the internet should be treated as a basic utility. It should be treated like if it is light or water. Everybody should have access to it, and it should be fair and well regulated. But the carriers wanted that to switch over to Title 1, where there are lighter regulations and they are free to be more hidden with their practices. So what they're basically saying is, we are providing this service, we're spending all of this money, and a large part of this net neutrality discussion is surrounded on money, money, money. Because these carriers are saying that they're spending so much money on infrastructure, somebody must help them bear this cost. Understand?
all right, so this is an illustration of what Maurice was just talking about. In Title 1, right here. So we were saying everyone is driving a vehicle. And in Title 1, everyone has equal lanes, everyone drives on the same road. But what happened last year, the abolition of net neutrality, this is what is going to be fair. It wouldn't happen. There's going to be a fast lane and there's going to be a slow lane. Persons with the big pockets will be traveling on the fast lane. And those of us who have little money in the bank will be traveling on the slow lane. So what does this mean? Why are people so afraid of the abandoning of net neutrality? Right? So we have big companies paying ISPs to slow down rival websites. We can look at the instance with Flow, let me say Careers and Graves. So Careers have their website and they want to pay Flow some extra dollars, so that person who go to Graves' website going to experience a whole bunch of problems. It's going to be significantly slower than when they visit the Careers website. All right, so that is what I mean by big companies paying ISPs to slow down rival businesses.
Now, when we look at these slowdowns, right? Now, what they're saying is there are a bunch of websites on the internet that consume a lot of content. There's Netflix, for example. There is YouTube. All of these social platforms also consume a lot of content. So if it is that you are sucking up all of the bandwidth on the internet for these huge websites, why shouldn't you pay more? It sounds like I'm for the abolition of net neutrality, but that's the question I'm being asked. Why shouldn't you pay more? If you are hugging so much of this content, why should you pay more? And me and Eben had a spirited discussion on this topic. He chose the part of the ISPs, he argued for them, and I argued against them. And that will come later down. And I thought that we must think about. Let's use a very simple example. If Eben goes out and he buys a truck, and the truck is a 4-ton truck, and I am a basic civilian, I go out and I buy a Toyota Starlet, very small vehicle, and I'm driving on the road. The question should be asked, should the government charge Eben more money for his 4-ton truck to drive on the road versus me with my Starlet? That is the discussion that we need to have. They do? Yeah. Okay. You pay 4 more for anti-license? Okay. But if you look at it and from the ISP standpoint, should they do it?
Let me ask another question. If you bought, sorry. Let me ask another question. So if you buy a truck to transport A to B, you charge whatever you charge. Now, if your village buys a truck, your village buys a truck and says, there's a truck, anybody can use it. Okay? Now we have a different set of circumstances there, right? But now you are saying, because you're the person who used to do all the deliveries for trucks, right? Truck business, you're in, well, you still have to pay me. You know, so now that the village bought, you had just bought a truck and put it in the square, and anyone can use it to go from A to B, right? But you've been in the trucking business before, you know what it's all about. But you're saying now, I don't care who owns that truck, you still have to pay me. And that's where I'm coming.
Somebody else?
Using your comparison with the use of the bandwidth, okay? So you said companies like YouTube, Netflix, these people, they consume a lot of internet bandwidth, and they should therefore pay more for that. I look at that from the service providers' perspective. I tend to agree with that. They should, because they're consuming more bandwidth. But I think the part for me, it should be for the consumer, like persons like us. We shouldn't have to pay for that. You know, we need to find a way that my use of the internet be unrestricted.
Okay, so let me ask a question, right? We in St. Vincent, we enjoy a privilege, I would call it. I'm going to ask if anybody has a problem with this. When you buy a data plan from Digicel, you get free social media along with your data plan. Should that be happening in St. Vincent? You get, and they specify what you get. You get WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, free on your data package. Should that be happening? That cannot be the spirit of competition. Because you have to, here's my standpoint, and you could see if we differ here. Before WhatsApp, MSN Messenger was the standard everybody used. MSN Messenger was stagnant, and they were pushed out because innovation won out. Now, if we rewind and we say the internet providers bundled MSN Messenger as a free add-on, would they have been outmaneuvered by the WhatsApps of the world? What do you think? If I have to pay, Hello? So if I have to pay for a service, right, versus getting something for free, which one will you choose? You would naturally choose the free one. If MSN Messenger was free, and you have a new service that comes out that is not free, more than likely, human tendency will be to gravitate to what is free. And therein lies the problem when you remove net neutrality. You understand where we're coming from with it? What do you think? Anybody have thoughts? Should we fight against these free services that are offered along with our internet packages?
If I may, my particular position on that is that if I'm paying for data, then I have access to everything that data connects to. When you add on a particular service, and that's exactly what net neutrality is all about, is giving preference to either a company or a product that can pay a little bit more. And I know you give a particular scenario, but I just want to move away and go to a North American-based scenario that came up in the whole discussion. Comcast, that's like Flow, right? They provide internet, they provide cable, they provide telephone. They sell their services, but you buy their service and you want to look at Netflix, you want to look at YouTube, all right? And what they can do essentially, if net neutrality is washed away, is that they could say, you know what, we're going to put some bugs to slow down your stream on Netflix, but our stream will go perfect. And we're starting to see that already in St. Vincent. I don't know if how many of you would have moved away from the option of having cable from Flow, and you decided to go for an Android box. These days, Android box starting to move really slow because these people, what they're doing, they're planting the little bugs to ensure that you don't have access to what you want to have access to after you pay them for access. So you see what's going on, and that's my position on that.
Okay, so you heard me say this morning that ICANN doesn't have a position on net neutrality, so don't expect a position from me. I'm not from St. Vincent, but I have a question. I've heard some of the ISPs in other fora complain about over-the-top services. For example, using WhatsApp to make calls. So did I hear you say that this same ISP is giving WhatsApp for free with their data packages?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of strange to an outsider.
Yeah, free Facebook.
I have that service right now.
Now, if you look at it, right, in our perspective, we are enjoying this service. We are enjoying this service, but there's a danger. Look at it from an IT person and look at it from, I am not old, so I'm not seeing a lot in life, but I've seen for the past 10 years innovation rapidly in the internet space. And what has come up from small companies having that equal footing. Now, the internet has not been a big and huge driver of businesses in St. Vincent. We don't see companies, e-commerce platforms popping up in St. Vincent. We don't see a lot of internet business in St. Vincent. But when you look outside, you see how pivotal the internet has been, especially for entrepreneurship, for different companies. Now, a business like WhatsApp did not start with a mountain of money. They started on a simple company offering messaging services. Now they are included in the conversation because they are basically the go-to for communication. But we must always bear in mind that comfort is always the enemy of innovation. And bundling services like that, offering services like that for free, can stifle innovation because it is locking users into a false sense of comfort that this is the standard and this is what it should be, right? So you might say that over-the-top services, there was some competition when WhatsApp calling just came out. I remember they were blocking WhatsApp calling because they were upset about that. But then I believe that they have now used it as a competitive strategy to fight against Lime when it comes to, which is a better data package. So using it as a tool to, and funny enough, no, I don't think you're not
benefiting.
The consumer is not benefiting because I am sorting what was before MSN Messenger. AOL, BlackBerry, there we go, BBM, there we go. Now, think about it this way, right? I see my good friend here with an iPhone on his table. And I'm sorting you use the iPhone, right? Yes, you have a Mac phone. I could argue that if my ISP favored BBM and made it a central part of their product, BlackBerry could have had a more stronger leg to stand on today if it was not an event platform. Could that be a fair argument? Exactly. So it does not benefit the end user when a crutch is given to any company. So when there is a fair platform, the user benefits because of innovation, because of what could possibly come next, because of there being this uneasiness in companies having to think, how do I be the best version of myself? You understand where I'm coming from? Yes?
Discussion is very lively today, man. So I was just informed we're running out of time. So we've talked about we just spoke about the benefits of net neutrality, and that the removal of net neutrality, some could assume that is not beneficial to the end user because the example we gave with the bundling of services, it forces you to use one particular service and it does not give an even playing field to all the rest services. So if WhatsApp is being bundled with my data and a new hot messenger app comes on the market, you're not going to experience that new hot app. You're going to be stuck with WhatsApp because you know when you go into that new hot app, it's going to be extra cost to you. All right. We have other arguments for net neutrality. It will also negatively affect freedom of speech. In absence of net neutrality, the big companies could give priority to TV networks, to videos it owns, and slow down the signal of other peers. Net neutrality supports competitive marketplace and provides chance to every firm from big companies to small startups to take part in it. Big companies and startups, they're on the same level playing field, albeit that the big companies have the money, but it's not the money we're talking about. They're all using the same infrastructure and they're all using the same, like I said, analogy with the road, we're all using the same kind of road. So it's how you maneuver that road will depend on your success and not any kind of benefits that the ISPs give to the big or to the small company. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, since you guys know so much about, well, more than I do, what did we have before net neutrality? Before the internet came along and forced us into something called net neutrality, whatever, right? But what do we have before net neutrality?
Well, when the internet was first introduced, the idea of the internet is that everyone have it. It's free to everyone. So the playing field would be leveled. What happened is that person started to get creative. ISPs started to get creative and start manipulating this service. So that's when regulations came in place to try and stop ISPs from abusing this internet.
Okay, well, here's how I look at it, right? Before net neutrality was such a big issue, ring games were big, marbles were big, skip rope was big, and governments could not be toppled by the internet. The internet, in its infancy, did not play such a big role in our lives. So there was no need to try to capitalize on and try to stifled information here, stifled information there. But as the internet grew and became so important, such a cornerstone of society, such a difference maker in terms of business, dissemination of information, all of this distribution of wealth, wealth distribution, where a college dropout could have the same and more net worth than somebody who have had generational wealth. Then you start seeing people paying more attention to the internet and how they can curtail access to it. So that is my submission to why net neutrality has now jumped into the forefront and what was before it. Is that a question?
I have a question. It's something that I've often thought about. I know the United States played a large part in the whole establishment of the internet, and a number of the developers are from the United States, or at least they would have paid for a number of the innovative things that we are seeing. How does that translate to us here in the Caribbean? How can it affect us negatively? That's my question to you guys.
How it affects us negatively. Now, let me ask a question, right? In St. Vincent, we've seen a big shift. And let me give an example from my personal experience. Right? I started a real estate business 2 years ago. And I started it using a website that was very user-friendly, beautiful website. And I used that to enter the market. Having the internet there providing me with an entrance into the market. Now, if my competitor, let's say Eben, is an old gray-haired person, and he wanted to stand for that innovation, and he could buy access, then things will become different for me, right? Would that become different for me? Yes, no? So the internet and in the Caribbean, it is getting there, but it's not there yet. Now, for the first time, I decided to buy Netflix. So I'm paying $10 a month for Netflix versus how much is for cable? 105. So you're seeing me getting access to all of these shows, and I can watch them as much as I want versus paying $100 and something for Flow. I get the same enjoyment. If Flow decides to throttle my Netflix, I have a problem. I have to go and force myself back into their little corner. Now, hey? To what? To what?
I was having a small thought just now. What would be a good exercise is to probably compare the rest of the world to what is being done in China, where they strongly restrict a lot of content from their people. But yet, you have to compare what the economy is like for them compared to who have access to as much as they want outside of China.
So I want to ask you, what do you think?
Well, the little interaction with Chinese people that I've had is that they're very focused people, and I think they don't have as much distractions professionally because I've only dealt with them professionally. They do not have as much distractions, and I think the few people I've spoken to, they treasure a lot of simple things compared to the rest of the world. But that is a bit off topic to what is actually stuff that they want to restrict that with the rest of the world. But it's a good exercise that I think would be beneficial to some people who want to deal with net neutrality, to compare the both scenarios.
Well, it's an interesting discussion to have, but it's a strange one to have because China doesn't restrict you because of your pocket. So if somebody has anti-Chinese rhetoric, no matter how much money they have in their pocket, it will not be let in to their gates. What we're looking at, if you look at on this side of the wall, the size of your pocket could let you do whatever you want in terms of that. But in China, it's all Chinese focused. Let us make China better kind of approach. So there are, of course, some benefits to the marble and the ring games, but there are also advantages to the internet also. We'll see many advantages where this distraction that we have can lead to great innovation.
Yeah. So you had made a comment earlier, and I'd forgotten what it is now, but it seemed to me it's very important at the time. But for me, the world is a very disparate place. There are lots of different, all the countries are very different in terms of how much money we have and the wealth of our people, etc., and the ability of our governments to respond to kind of global issues. And I think it may be, I don't know if I can just quote something here that, if I can find it, might be of interest. Right. So I just wanted to perhaps give you a short quote from a lady named Katie Watson. And it's really, she's been writing about the sort of evolution of the over-the-top services, you know. But she reminds us of one thing in particular. And this is what she says, look. She's talking about the conversation around net neutrality. And what she's saying is this: throughout history, network operators, the likes of Western Union, the Bell Company, the Comcast of this world, have used their market dominance to increase control of all aspects of telecommunication services. The situation has evolved from one of control over when and how to send telegrams to the cost of phone calls for different customer groups in different areas of the world, right? And that is the basis on which they are arguing to remove net neutrality. So I just want to kind of leave you with that.
All right, we have to wrap up our presentation at this moment. Just to close by saying that where we, St. Vincent, are at the moment with net neutrality, St. Vincent is part of a group, ECTEL, consisting of 5 members: St. Vincent, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica. They're also, under ECTEL is also the NTRC, and each of these islands have their own NTRC, which governs the internet activities in these regions. And the ECTEL had issued a statement in 2016 in support of net neutrality. They're basically saying that they support net neutrality and they're all in for net neutrality. And they are working on areas where they can continue to improve on the service that we as citizens get in our islands. After the FCCA announced the removal of net neutrality, that's in America, a lot of persons kicked up and wanted to know what is going to happen now in the region if we were going to be follow suit in what America did, because as Maurice said earlier, when America sneezes, everybody catches the cold. But the ECTEL reassured the public that they are in fact sticking with net neutrality, and they're going to continue to embrace the principles of net neutrality. That's the information transparency from ISPs, that they have to produce information to public information they would very much love to keep to themselves. They'll have to make sure all this information are public. Reform of the quality of service regulation. We all know NTRC are big in that. If you have a problem with your service, you approach the ISP. If it is not dealt with, you approach NTRC and make a report. And the strengthening of anti-competition rules. This is a reform bill that they're still currently working on. And I guess someone from NTRC could maybe go more into that. And right, like I said, they are continuing to commit to an open internet in the region. Yes, and that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's put our hands together again. We're gonna take some more questions. I did warn them that this particular topic will produce a lot of talk because